So I'm back in the garage, obviously, and I have the heads sitting over on the table. I just pulled out most all of the saran wrap out of those. The goals for today are to get the block resurfaced and ready to get the heads to go on, and hopefully to get the heads on today. That's about it. Doesn't seem like much, but it's going to be a lot of work. And yeah, the goal for today is to have the heads on the car, torqued to spec, and tomorrow I can come back, get the cams on, and hopefully get the timing cover on, the timing covers on, so that today's Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. Yeah, today's Thursday. So I'm really hoping to have this thing done by Saturday and to be able to get this out of my cousin's garage, because he's been really kind to let me use it. But I think we're going to have another snow, and I'd like to get my car out of here so he can get his Firebird back in the garage. A lot going on today. I did remember my little vacuum, so I'm going to suck off everything off the top. And hopefully that'll make things a little easier and cleaner as I go getting the heads back on. So that's what I'm going to start with now, is getting the block sucked off and ready to go. So, a whole lot better than it was. This side, I spilled gas on it, I think, when I was taking the fuel rail off. So that's what's going on over there. But it's coming together, looking really good. The other day I was able to take brake clean and just wipe off my whole cross member, and it looks really good now. There's a little bit of rust over here by the power steering. So, but besides that, it's really clean. Looks pretty good. So one of the issues you have when you come in here to resurface the block are these alignment pins. There's 2 of them on the H6. I think there's 4 on a EJ25, but I can't really remember. Anyway, you're going to have some alignment pins, and the thing that I found to get those out easily without ruining them, so something I found that works really well is to get a socket that fits right in there. This one's slightly too big. Let's try this guy. Oh, too small. The goal is to find a socket. This works a whole lot better on the 4-cylinder. These ones are all kind of goofy sized. Still too big, huh? Let me try a different set. I can remember where I put them. Shoot. Come on now. Goal is to find, well, that might work, is to find either a socket or something around that's about that same size. This will probably work well enough, but you get that, Then you grab vice grips, and these puny vice grips aren't my favorite choice, but you get something that fits right in there so that you can vice grip it without crushing it. Which that is killing it.
You're only slightly less than wonderful. Your body borders on the mirror. I think I'm on the brink of dying to drag on the ground or wrap up around you and you swing.
So I just I only hit this with 120. I think I did 2 passes with the 120, and then I did just one pretty thorough pass with the 400. Usually the block isn't that bad, and so it's not as much of a thing to worry about. It's mostly just getting it clean. Sanding it down helps a lot. Makes it have a good, nice, fresh sealing surface for the new head gaskets. Looks pretty good. Nice and smooth, there's no chunkies on it. Now, grab just brake clean. And I did shove paper towels down in all of the oil galleries. So that obviously that brake clean won't go down straight into the oil pan or anything. Just gonna soak up as much as you can. Now I'm gonna go grab the air compressor and just kind of blow around here, blow off all of these little particles here, and just kind of try and get it as clean as possible, because now is the time for the new head gasket to go on. Okay, so there's one head on. I'm prepping the other one for it to go on as well. I cleaned this one out pretty nice. Just making sure it's all dry, because you don't want any kind of moisture or oil on the head gasket surfaces or the head gasket. And the last couple times you only want to dab, because if you wipe it'll get a bunch of paper towel kind of boogers or whatever, little fibers on the surface. I still need to wipe this one down the last time, but the one thing that's different about the H6 than the EJ25 is the washers for the head studs or the head bolts. New ones don't come with washers, so make sure you don't lose these. But also, you have to put them in first. The way the head is set up, you can see there that there's no way you can fit a washer down between through here. And so you have to put the washers on first, and then you just kind of slide the head bolts in through the washer and into its sealing into it. So that's a little different than the EJ25, and it should be noted. But yeah, it's coming together. It's looking really nice. The cylinders in here look nice. Let me grab my light again. The other side looked the same. Well, it looked a little different. This one is the side that was having the head gasket leak, so the cylinder, the piston heads are super clean on this side because it's been getting cleaned out by the water in the compression chamber. But there you go. They look nice. You can still see some cross hatching on the cylinder walls, so that's good. But yeah, there's our heads, or there's our cylinder, our pistons. They look nice. It's a really good feeling once you actually get the heads on. I don't know, there's something special about head gaskets that once you get the head back on, maybe it's because you go through so much work, the way I do it anyway. I go through so much work to resurface the heads and the block. I took so much time getting all the RTV off of all the surfaces, and so much time pulling this engine apart. And when you finally get the head on, I've only got one head on, and I'm already feeling it. There's just some kind of, I don't know, like a peace or a happiness that comes with the knowledge that this is gonna be good. Same thing happened when I rebuilt the EJ25 for the Legacy GT last winter, about this same time. Once you get the heads back on, you're on the downhill, and yeah, it's a really good feeling. So I'd highly recommend, buying cars with blown head gaskets, buying Subarus with blown head gaskets is a great way to get a good deal on a Subaru. Again, my Legacy GT, I bought it for $400 because it had blown head gaskets. It had a ton of other issues as well. Lots of brakes and steering and suspension issues, and interior, but a lot of stuff that I was willing to deal with, and it gave me a really good platform for a really good price. This guy, same thing. I paid $2,800. Has 150,000 miles, barely. Like it hit 150 the day I test drove it, and so it was a really good deal. I didn't think I'd be able to get my hands on a fourth generation Legacy for another few years, like 3 or 4 or 5 years, because they're too expensive for me. I'm really happy to have found the EZ30, the LLB edition. It's a super slick, real comfy car. Yeah, they're good cars. And the head gaskets, as much of a job as it is, if you have the space, or the only thing I've used besides a normal standard socket set is an Allen head set. And if you're doing the EZ30, make sure you get one that goes up to a this is a metric set. Get one that goes up to 12. This one only goes up to 10, but I was able to use that goofy Torx and cut it off to get those plugs off. But it's a 12 millimeter Allen head, and so that was the only thing you need to buy. This was another $10 at Harbor Freight, and so yeah, I'll add up everything when I get it all back together and give you a rundown on how much I end up paying for this in the long run, or when I'm totally finished, parts and everything. But it's gonna be a whole lot less than these Kelley Blue Book, or average retail value is about $5,000 to $5,500 for the condition it's in and the number of miles it has on it. And so I'm gonna be a couple grand or $3,000 below that by the time I'm finished getting it back on the road. I am gonna put tires on it and stuff, but mostly just because the tires that are on it are fine, but I'm gonna put snow tires on it for my wife, and so this thing will be a tank. It'll be a really good car to have here out in the Midwest through these harsh winters. The last thing I did want to point out before I get everything put back together are these little O-rings. So on the factory service manual, you have to replace all of these little O-rings, and I do not know, besides Subaru, I looked on Rock Auto, I looked on a bunch of other websites, I googled it. Besides buying them straight from Subaru, I can't find these O-rings in like a gasket kit anywhere. So that's something to be aware of. Make sure, I mean, it's a really big pain for me because I didn't, well, I ordered a gasket kit and I didn't get it until Wednesday, so yesterday. And then I took them out there and they were it didn't have the right O-rings in the kit. It was a lower conversion engine kit and it didn't have the O-rings you need. So there's extra O-rings. I don't know, I couldn't find anything. I might last resort I'm gonna buy them at Subaru. I'm gonna take these over to Ace Hardware today after I'm done getting this other head on, and see if I can find some just generic O-rings that will fit, and hopefully I can get the timing cover back on tomorrow. And if not, I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that Subaru has these in stock, the Subaru dealership here. They probably will, they're just O-rings. And so anyway, those are the biggest headache. I guess the biggest headache is this freaking timing cover. Oh, it was a big pain. It looks really shiny now though. I took it and washed it off in the laundry sink at my house. That and the valve cover gasket, so they're all shiny and super clean. So it's gonna be a good looking engine when I get it back together. But yeah. That's what we're working with. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and just dab that head off one more time with brake cleaner to get it completely free and clean, and then put the gasket in there. The other thing, the two head gaskets, they are different. There's a right side head gasket and a left side head gasket. And so when you're putting them on, make sure you know which one's which. There's a little, it's stamped into it. It says an L or an R on the gasket. Let me see if you can, yeah, you can kind of see that right there. There's an L. And so there's really only one way that the gaskets can go on. You just match up all the holes to how it looks on the gasket, and it fits just fine and looks great, and will do its job just fine. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy back on, and yeah, a great day. I haven't torqued this one yet. It's just got the bolts hand tight. I still need to pull up my computer and open up the factory service manual, which I will do right now. Cylinder head insulation. Okay, so tighten cylinder head bolts. Obviously, you need to put a coat of engine oil on the washers and the cylinder head threads, the bolt threads, before you stick it down in there. If you don't, you're going to have a hard time torquing it, because there's a pretty big torque sequence. Make sure you have oil on hand. I just have it right here, and I just kind of dunk the bolts right in there. But yeah, that's pretty essential. And put some on the washers as well, because if the washers are dry, you'll also have a hard time. So I just cleaned these off so there wasn't any grit on them, and I'm gonna just kind of dunk a little oil on them. Maybe put some oil in this cap and just kind of dunk them in there to get those greasy again. Okay, install it. Tighten the bolts with a torque to 20 or 14 foot-pounds in numerical sequence. So if you guys want to see the sequence, okay, so there's your install torque sequence. Front of the engine over here, you're basically doing two X's. So you do a little X in the middle, and then you come back out and you do a big X on the outside. So here's your torquing sequence. Obviously, yep. Okay, so then you're going to torque in sequence to 14 foot-pounds, and then you're going to torque in sequence to 37 foot-pounds, and then you're going to back them off in reverse order, 180 degrees, and then you're going to do that again, and then you're going to tighten them all in order, 14 foot-pounds, and then you're going to tighten 1 through 4, so the inner cross to 35.4 pounds. And then you're going to do the outer cross at 33 foot-pounds. And then you're going to tighten all of them in sequence 90 degrees. And then the center cross, you're going to tighten another 45 degrees. And there's your torquing sequence. And again, that's your order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? That's really important. So take a screenshot of this, or open up the factory service manual yourself. Do something, because that torquing sequence and the order is extremely essential to get an even torque and to get the head on correctly, so you won't have future head gasket issues. Yeah, do it right the first time, and you won't have issues. Okay, so here's my felpro bolts. What you can do, something my brother did when he did his EJ25, he wrote the torquing sequence right here on the top of the box, and then put it right there. Luckily I have my computer here and can do it here, but if you don't, draw out a head and put in your 8 bolts and number them right here, and then write the torquing sequence out, keep it on here. Yeah, you'll have it forever on your cardboard box. Anyway, that actually is a really handy way to do it. So I'd recommend it. Luckily I have the computer right here, so it's not that big of an issue. But most places I would never have a computer out with me working, and so this is what I've done in the past too. One thing, I guess I have to talk about the head bolts. So it seems like there's a ton of controversy on whether or not you need new head bolts. Somebody on one of these forums, I think it was the Tribeca forum I looked at, was saying that these aren't torque to yield head bolts, and that they don't stretch, and so you can reuse them as much as you want. I've seen similar things about people with the EJ25 head bolts, that you can use them once or twice, well, 2 times or 3 times, and you'll be fine, that they aren't torque to yield. But I am pretty positive they are torque to yield. I mean, they're head bolts. And with that torquing sequence, like the way you tighten them up and you torque them and then you loosen them off, that's like stretching out the threads. As far as I knew, that's what that's doing as you tighten them, and then you back them off and you retighten them. That's stretching it so that it can be torqued correctly. Otherwise, it seems like you just torque it and be done. But the backing off and everything. Anyway, I didn't ever find any solid evidence on whether or not these are torque to yield, and so I just went off of my previous experience. With all head bolts, you just replace them. Yeah, it is like $45 a side, so it's another $90 or $100 depending on the engine you're doing. But in the long run, another $100 is fine with me, because I feel a lot more comfortable putting on new bolts. Everything I've read from the place that sells these bolts is that you have to reuse them. That could just be the parts manufacturers trying to make more money. There was somebody on one of the forums that said that Subaru sent out a service announcement that you can reuse the head bolts. Somebody said that, but then they could never find a link to the actual announcement from Subaru. And so I am not in on that boat of reusing head bolts without proof from Subaru that it would work. Overall, it's cheaper. Like, I already don't have to buy a new timing component kit like you do on the EJ25, and so spending an extra $90 on new head bolts is very comforting, I guess you'd say. I'm going to sleep better at night knowing that I'm not going to have any head gasket issues. That's why I spend so much time sanding it down by hand, and anyway, doing everything I do. I would say, unless there is specific proof and you read it from Subaru, buy new head bolts, because $100 down the road in another 6 months or a year or 18 months and you blow head gaskets again because the bolts can't torque the heads to what they need to be torqued to, that $100 is going to sound so cheap when you have to pull everything apart again, resurface the heads, buy a new head gasket kit, and do all the work again. And so for me, it's a really nice $100 peace of mind that everything is new. So do everything you can while you're down with it taken apart. I understand sometimes money doesn't permit that, and sometimes you don't have time. Luckily, I have time to get this thing running. I've been rushing, but there's not really a hurry. But that's kind of all I have to say about the head bolts. But yeah, make sure you oil these up and just buy new ones. It's worth it. If you're doing it yourself, you're already saving. The guy that sold this got a quote from his mechanic, and the head gaskets were going to be $1,200 or $2,100, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, I think he was saying it was going to be about $2,000 to do the head gaskets and everything, which seems like a freaking ton to me. But I've never paid a mechanic to do any work on any of my cars, and so when it's less than $500 in parts, go for it. Anyway, that's my spiel. I'm gonna go ahead and put these on now.
hear it been recorded on the tape magnetically. But mind you, this stereophonic tape player is not just ordinary hi-fi. It isn't? No, sir. This is hi-fi plus. This is a new dimension in sound. This is what I want to hear already. Okay, but when I push the button on the tape, you'll have to turn off the projector. Have you got that? When I see you turn on the tape, I turn off the projector. Right. Now.
Your home is slightly less than wonderful. Your body borders on the mirror.
So to deal with the issue of loosening 180 degrees and then the 45 degrees at the end, I took that ratcheting breaker bar and I just put little notches every 90 degrees. And so what I'm going to do, I can put it up here and then just set this to where it's facing the notch or whatever, and then just ratchet until I get to 2, which will be 180 degrees. That's one way you can do it. It's a whole lot easier to deal with that when it's out of the car. When it's in the car, you got to come up with something like that. And making it real visual like that makes it so that you won't have any issues, and hopefully won't mess up, because you know you don't want to mess it up. Nobody wants to mess it up. Alright, we got both heads torqued now. I'm going to go ahead and put the cams in now, at least on one side. This side I think is going to be harder to get to, just the way the engine's sitting, so I'm going to try and jack it up and kind of rock it more over this way. The cams also have a torquing sequence. Let me look at that right now. So, put engine oil on the journals and install the camshaft. And then install the cap. Put RTV on the front camshaft cap, yeah. Right here and right there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for, right there. So, tightening torque. Apply engine oil to cap bearing surface and install the cap to the camshaft. Tighten the rocker cover bolts in numerical order as shown below. So 1 through 12, which you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Get torqued to 12 foot-pounds. And then these outer ones are only 7 foot-pounds. So 13, 14, 15, 16. Only 7 foot-pounds. Now 7 foot-pounds is just hand tight with a 3/8 ratchet. So that's barely tight at all. Just snug. That's easy enough. So I just got to make sure all my cam journals are cleaned off and I can put some new oil on them. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gloves so I don't have any kind of particles on my gloves. Once I clean those cams off, and yeah, just kind of oil it up. I'll need to put the cardboard back under the car so that I don't have to worry about the oil leaking around and everything. But oil up the cam journals, oil up the cams, pop the cams on, and tighten down in that torque. Yeah, so take a screenshot of this again. Because that's your torquing order. Doesn't give me one for the other side, does it? Nope. Yeah, it's kind of goofy that way. It only does it once, so just kind of reverse it. I mean, keep this is the back of the engine. This is where the cam sprockets are, and so when you're doing it to the right side, just kind of reverse those. Oh no, you just got to think of it backwards. But those are all the numbers you need. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. This side's a little trickier. It seems like this side, maybe it's just this, but it seems like this side doesn't have as much space as the other side of the engine. So really quick, for anybody who hasn't done this before, or if you've forgotten or whatever, this is one of the cam caps, and it has that writing on it. It says 41KK, and then it has the arrow pointing left. So I don't know what the KK means, but I wonder what the other side says. Anyway, the 4 is the number of the cylinder that it's on top of, and the I is the intake. And so you probably won't be able to see, but an exhaust one would say, on this one that you're looking at, should say 2E and then something else. I don't know what the other ones mean. But that's a way to make sure that you're putting the cam caps back where they're supposed to be, even if you have them out of order or something. And then the arrow is pointing towards the front of the car, or towards the cam sprockets in this case. And so this is a 4, and it goes right there over the 4 cylinder. If you need help with those, it says 2, 4, 6. The other side has a 1, 3, and a 5 right there stamped on top of the case. I didn't buy the fast drying RTV, and so you just tighten it with your hand until it starts squirting out like that is over there, and then you leave that like that for about an hour, and then you torque it after an hour, and then you gotta wait another 24 hours before you can actually put fluids in it. But this stuff works really good. And yeah, so you do want to make sure that all of the arrows are facing forward, and go ahead and take a look at all of those again and make sure that all the caps are in the right spot, because you'll have issues if they're not. So anyway, that's what I'm working on right now. All that's left is for me to clean off that cap and RTV it and pop it on there. And I think I might wait until tomorrow, because I don't plan on being here for another hour, and I don't want to give it 24 hours. That's going to go on tomorrow, and then I'll put everything else on. That's it for today. It was a super productive day. I've been here, I think, since 11:30 or 12, and so it's 5:15 right now. I'll swap those plugs out and then torque that guy down. Yeah, that'll be it for today. Super productive, really happy to have the engine back with its heads on. What I need to do now is take these O-rings out, all of them, and stick them in one of my baggies and bring it with me, so I can go to the hardware store and try and find those. And I also need to bring these. These are the oil pump, I guess you'd call them. Yeah, these are the oil pump bolts. There's 2 small ones that are that size, and there's 2 longer ones that are that size. And so I need to get 2 of each of those with this kind of tapered head with a flat. Anyway, I need to go to the hardware store and pick up all 4 of those as well. And so I got a hardware store run. Oh, and I also need to go and pick up new ones of these, because these ones are the ones that you're supposed to replace. So 2 and 2 on the other side. So 4 of those, 4 of these, and then all the O-rings that I can find. So that's it for today. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully tomorrow we'll have the whole front of the engine put back together and get started on the intake manifold and get it going back together, so that on Saturday I can get this thing off and driving. Pretty sweet. I'm stoked. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.